kusoma. Walipewa tu grades, alafu wakapeana mapenzi. Ala, wasichana bana sana sana. Mashallah. Inakuwa aje? Akafanya story inaitwa Sex for Grades. Lecturer akikuona unakuja kutafuta shule anaona huyu mtoto mbona atanipa kitu. Alafu mimi nimpe. Inaitwa STD. Sexually transmitted degrees ama STG grades sijui. Kuna mwanahabari wetu hapa anaitwa Ken Kimani. Ken Kimani akakutana naye na wakasema naye. Yapo mengi ambao walizungumza. Basi tuangalie haya makala.
Thank you very much wherever you are watching us from. My name is Ken Kimani, and today's episode we are hanging out with one of the African finest journalists, Miss Kiki Modi from Nigeria, BBC Africa Eye. Thank you very much and welcome to our studios.
Thank you so much, Ken.
So we've heard of who's Kiki in different terms. Maybe some people don't know who you are. Just maybe tell us who you are. Who is Kiki Modi?
My name is Kiki Modi. I'm a broadcaster and a journalist in Nigeria, of course. I have been in the media for 6 years, a little over 6 years. I've been doing different parts of the media, radio, and very recently investigative journalism. My team and I produced the film Sex for Grades, which has sparked some conversation in many parts of Africa and other parts of the world as well.
So what are people telling you out there when they see you? Are they seeing you like they are God maybe?
I hope not. I think the most surprising of it all was being in Kenya and having people, recognize me or, walk up to me and tell me that they're inspired by what we created, the film Sex for Grades. And it makes me really happy. It makes me really happy and it inspires me as well. I have this strong belief that more young people, more young women especially, not just in Nigeria, outside, even here in Kenya, are going to go out there and do similar things and use their voice to stand for something.
Okay. So before Sex of Grades, you just told us that you were in 6 years in media. What were you doing maybe?
I was a radio presenter. I've worked at 3 different radio stations. The latest of which is a women radio. It's a radio station dedicated to women and their families. You know what? I've actually worked at a radio station called KU Radio.
Oh, KU Radio. We also have a station here called KU Radio.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Coincidence. All the way in Edo State, Nigeria. But yes, so I've worked my way through radio and other parts of the media.
So, thank you very much. So, Kiki Modi, coming to Sex for Grades, what really inspired you? What's the story behind Sex for Grades? Because you can't just wake up and say, I'm going to do this story. Yeah, so what inspired you?
I mean, you can wake up and say that because Sex for Grades is such a rampant it's a rampant thing, it's a culture, as a matter of fact, in our universities. But it wasn't just that, it wasn't that. As a team, Africa Eye received a number of messages even before I joined. Way before I joined, asking that they investigate the issue of sexual harassment in Nigerian universities. And this is not just confined to Nigeria. This is from different parts of Africa, especially West Africa. And I'm always someone who has, in my own space, advocated for safe spaces for women, the university being one of them. And I personally, I know the feeling of not being able to fulfill your dreams because of sexual harassment. And so it was a no-brainer when the opportunity presented itself and I had to be the reporter on that story. I didn't even think twice before accepting to be on the story. So that's how the story came about. We had a couple of people who not just reached out with some evidence, even screenshots, voice recordings. So we embarked on a 9-month-long evidence gathering duty. So we gathered evidence, we spoke to current and former students, we took their testimonies and they gave us recordings, screenshots, anything we could find. And all of the evidence that we managed to gather in this space of 9 months led us to the people we ended up investigating.
So I was speaking with some of the people in our newsroom, in our production here at KUTV, and they were saying that your story was very good. You everything from the pre-production. We can see it with the post-production itself. So maybe you can just tell us of how you formatted the film, because I've not seen in Kenya, not so much, do so many people doing documentaries. Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people doing documentaries, maybe not just investigative
Yeah.
documentaries. If I start to explain like how the process of how we came about the film, it would be like a master class on documentary filmmaking.
Okay.
But I could just summarize with we worked with an amazing team, extremely professional, extremely good at their jobs, and extremely organized, because we had to work from 3 different countries at the same time. So the organization was what led us to where we were. We worked with journalists from the UK, we worked with journalists from Ghana, and of course Nigeria. And I mean, small pockets of teams across different parts of the world, just working together in a syndicated way. There are ethics of journalism that we follow to the T, because the BBC has one of the strongest editorial policies. Regardless of what you know, you would have to go through training, undergo training, to ascertain that you're in fact fit to do this job. Like I said, the first 9 months was dedicated to evidence gathering, and then we proceeded to go in and start to uncover. The training that the undercover operatives had was, at all times you have to speak about education matters or academic matters, because it would be a function of the lecturer themselves being the one to turn the conversation to personal matters. And so, I mean, they were professionally conducted at all times. That's it. And then, of course, post-production, and here we are.
Yeah. So you told us that 9 months were the time that you used for investigating, for gathering the evidence.
Yes.
Now, what plus the evidence, plus the post-production,
Testimony.
how many months or
How
how
long?
many?
It took us over a year. It's difficult to put a figure to it right now, because some of the work was remote. You're working. It took us over a year, over 12 months, to put together this whole film.
So people tending to do documentary and investigative should be patient. So, you just
Oh, you have to be patient. Some days you're just waiting and you don't know what you're waiting for. You just know that you're waiting. It's a lot of nerve-wracking.
Okay, so I was reading somewhere that you wanted to become a doctor. So what happened?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed, I wanted to become a doctor, or at least, a pharmacist or a biochemist or any of the medical-related fields. And so I went into university to study medical-related courses, so it would help me advance towards my dreams of being a medical doctor. Unfortunately, I had to drop out.
Okay, so did you start the university?
Oh yes, I started.
Oh, okay.
I started the university, and I was attending classes like every normal student until a professor started to target me in my university. And for 2 whole semesters, I couldn't see my results. And we know what it means. If you can't see your results for 2 semesters, you can't progress to the next level.
Yeah.
And I always go to try to find out like what the problem is. How can your scripts just go missing? Just like that. And unfortunately, it was just a trap for me to go in there and make contacts with the person that was in charge of my results. And he repeatedly demanded for sex. I mean, I was a scared 19-year-old with nobody. I just have my mom who's so far away. I'm in a strange city.
So what did you tell him when he asked for sex?
I mean, I couldn't do it. It was a scary process, because I couldn't say no, and I also knew I could not definitely say yes.
So you were.
So
just
I tried
figuring what
to
to say.
figure it out for so long. First semester, no result. Second semester, no result. And I knew that we're not making headway. So I just had to give up. I told him I couldn't do it. And he said,
Did you
I'm
tell
sorry.
anyone?
Yeah, I did. I tried to tell a couple of friends of mine that are in the school system, sort of like a report. But I was banking on the fact that they were my friends as well. It would help me facilitate this report and save me from this lecturer. But they honestly could
when
not.
When you refused to do the acts, let me just say the act. Let me not mention the name. What happened? Did you get the results, or what happened?
No, I didn't get the results. I got threats, as a matter of fact. I got threatening phone calls. And, the blackmail was always, you will not graduate, don't you want to graduate? And I decided to take that power away from him. If the only leverage you have over me is this graduation, I don't want it anymore. You can keep it. So what now?
Which year were you?
I was already in 200. My second year, I was supposed to progress in the third year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 years. So that's when you took time and decided you want to do journalism.
I didn't decide.
Yeah. So what happened?
I was just lost. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. I felt like maybe I'll go to another school and start again. Start studying medicine. By the time I graduate, I'll be old.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
But during that space between where I was trying to figure out my life and my mom asking me to come back home, because I was schooling in a different city from where we live. During that space, I discovered radio by accident. And it seemed like an interesting thing for me. It also gave me some level of boldness and confidence that I didn't have before. So I decided to explore it. I explored it.
So you joined radio without doing communication?
No, without doing anything. I don't even have any certificate.
So
as a matter of fact, I didn't go there to audition. I escorted my friend there for her own audition. But the person auditioning said they liked my voice and they wanted me.
So you just give it a try and they liked the voice and then they told you, we have to do it.
Yeah.
So that's when you decided you want to do journalism?
That's when I guess that's when I didn't know that I decided, but I was just riding the wave until somehow I found myself here.
Okay, thank you. So how long did it take for the radio?
How long did it take for
you to work on radio before you discovered you have to do BBC?
6 years. I was on radio for 6 years. During that time, I decided if people seem to love what I do on radio, I need to develop myself. So I'll read up on articles, I'll watch YouTube videos, I'll listen to my favorite radio hosts, and I was basically building myself. And I discovered that my radio and passion can mix. And I have a passion for gender equality, so I always used that radio as a platform. And I always loved writing from the beginning, so I started to explore that option as well. I just discovered that I was somehow in the middle of the media. I even started filmmaking. I did a small documentary right before Sex for Grades. It was on the women that live in a small island in Lagos.
Is it online?
Yes, it's on my YouTube.
Yeah, so you can tell your people where they can find it, maybe?
You can find it. The name of the documentary is Life at the Bay. It's a story about women who live by Takwa Bay. So I was just trying all these things. It's just like, if I fail, I fail. I mean, but apparently it was just really preparing me for currently where I am right now, because a lot of the skills that I've been able to gather from the past 6 years, I apply them here.
Yeah. So were you afraid when doing the story, Sex for Grades? Were you afraid? Were you bold enough to do the story?
I was afraid. I was. We had different moments that were scary. That were so uncertain. You don't know. What if you fail? What if you fail all the people that trusted their stories with you? What if, I felt responsible for everyone on the team, and everyone on the team felt responsible for me. So it was just like, if anything bad happens, I would never forgive myself. And because we had done our research, we knew the men that we were going into we were being alone in their offices. I mean, we weren't technically alone. We had security. Yeah,
we saw in the film.
Yes, we had security. We had panic buttons, but even at that, it wasn't easy at all. It wasn't easy, and yes, some parts were scary.
Which was the most scary point?
Absolutely most scary point for me was the final meeting Kemi, one of our operatives that we call Kemi, had with Dr. Boniface. Because all the signs were clear. We had seen this pattern repeat itself before from the testimonies of his past students. Invite her when everywhere is quiet, when no one is around, and then the suggestive comments he had been making earlier, we were just worried that this might be the day something would happen. So we had extra security. We had someone right outside the door because we couldn't take chances, and I was just worried for the mental well-being of everyone on the team, even myself, right? Because we had support, mental health support, but you can never be too sure. That's one of the most scary moments for me for filming.
Yeah, if you don't know what we are talking about Sex for Grades. It's on YouTube, and we'll be putting a link just in this video. So Sex for Grades, it really got your attention. Yeah, and people were attracted to the Sex for Grades. So let me ask you this question: if
Yeah.
lecturers practicing this kind of immoral are watching, what will you tell them? Because we understand you went through the same. So what will you tell?
What will I tell the lecturers?
Yeah.
I will tell the lecturers that they need to stop, because gone are the days where we would keep quiet. We are no longer inheriting the silence of our parents. We will talk about it, and we will come for you. Stop harassing your female students.
That is it.
Yeah, that's it.
At Kiki Modi, that's her Twitter account. Instagram? What's your Instagram?
Yeah, at Kiki Modi
At
as well.
Kiki Modi, at Ken Kimani Mugo, at BBC Africa, at KUTV Kenya. The hashtag is Sex for Grades. So, Kiki, young girls watching you right now and have undergone this art, what will you tell them?
It's a really difficult place, and even though I feel like I know what it feels like to be sexually harassed, I may not fully understand the context of her own harassment. So I'll tell her that I may not understand you, but I'm here with you, and I'm sorry that the society has had to put us through this. But you don't need to feel alone. We're in this together. Yep.
So, if you are elected, so it got me my attention that I wanted to ask you this question.
Okay.
If you were elected as a leader, or as a president, or as somewhere senior person, not as a journalist, but maybe somewhere in an elective post,
Okay.
what would you do to curb this kind of act?
I'll be very decisive about it. First of all, stricter punishments. Punishments need to be commensurate to the crime, and we don't seem to think it's such a big deal. That's why the punishment can be a fine of 500,000 naira, which a rich person can easily pay.
500,000
Naira. That's
That's what US dollars.
that's about that. You know, if a person can pay $1,000, $2,000, a rich person can easily pay that, and it wouldn't even affect his lifestyle.
Yeah.
And he'll go on doing what he does.
Yeah.
You know, it could be 2 years. What does 2 years have to do? You come back and you still get a job. Your job is still there. The punishment needs to be very strict. You need to know, you need to think twice that if I grope this woman that has been put under my care as my student, it may have my life ruined. It may not necessarily end sexual harassment, but it would drastically reduce it. Because there are some people who feel like they can get away with it. That's how come they've done it for so long. I definitely would be very, very particular about universities and their sexual harassment policy, and not just the policy, the implementation of the policy. Accountability is very important, because when something happens and we don't hold all the people involved accountable, it will make that room for it to happen again. So now the perpetrators here are not just the people who commit the crime, the people who enable, the people who saw it happen and didn't say anything, the people who they reported to and didn't do anything about it. All of them will be held accountable. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, Kiki, so I saw when watching the documentary, you just exposed big professors. What did they say? What are they saying? Are they threatening your life?
No, they're not threatening my life, and I don't know what they're saying to other people. But what they said to us as a team, we included in the film. Except Dr. Boniface didn't say anything, so we didn't include anything in the film because he didn't respond to us. But the other 3 lecturers, gave us their statements. Most of them, basically all of them denied what we saw. Unfortunately, no arrest has been made.
Why?
But
Why?
you're going to have to ask the Nigerian government that question.
Because here in Kenya, we
Yeah.
had an investigative
Okay.
by one of our journalists called Dennis Okari.
Okay.
Investigated someone who is a doctor, and the doctor, we don't want to talk so much, but the doctor was alleged to be raping women.
Oh my God.
So he used to just inject them some drugs and then he raped them. So he was arrested. So I don't know.
As it should be.
Yeah, your constitution, what does it say?
Well, currently the university seems to be the one responding. So all of them have been they've been suspended pending investigations, which is what is going on right now, investigations.
Yeah.
So at the Senate level, I know they're reintroducing the sexual harassment bill, which if it was in place, probably they would have been arrested currently.
But when watching the film, you can see there's a bail, there's a law that says if you're caught maybe a lecturer having sex with a student, they have to be no conflict of interest.
Yes. Yeah, like I said, it's Nigerian government you're going to have to take it up with.
Yeah.
But I have to say that there has been calls for independent investigations, not just investigations done by the school, by independent bodies. So we look forward to that. We just, really depend on our voices to keep putting pressure on the leaders to actually do something about it.
So let me ask you this question also. If you Kiki Mori, after you did the story, now what happened? How was it after you did the story?
I haven't had time to really feel because it's been work. It's been work. After work is more work. So we've been working, we've been, been invited by different government stakeholders to hear thoughts on the way forward. So that's what it has been. It's been more work at this point. I haven't had time to just really feel this moment. But I know that there's been lots of messages from different groups, from different people from around the world. Lots of people calling for stricter rules, lots of people calling for justice. People want to see justice because we've been quiet for too long.
Okay. So what did the president say? Because I saw he tweeted something.
Oh yes, he has made comments, basically rejecting the culture of sex for grade, saying that we have to take a strong stand, which is true. We do need to take a strong stand, but I'd like to see those strong stands, physically, not just on paper or rhetorics, words. We want to see action.
Okay. So also after the president, what are the other people outside there? Because after you did the story, let me tell you the truth. Kenyan media, different media houses now started saying actually there was one of the radio station, local radio station.
Yeah.
They had the debate in a breakfast show, and people calling and saying, what, we have to do this. And there was a poll on Twitter at XTandela. That was the poll.
Okay.
And the poll was asking who is to blame. And unfortunately, people were saying it's the girls. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I think this is the second time I've heard that. Another lady told me the same thing about the Kenyan media. It just goes to show that we're probably a replication of each other across the continent, and which is why the fire has to burn everywhere. We've lit the fire somewhere in Nigeria and in Ghana. It has to spread, and this is not a destructive fire. This is a fire for healing. No, victim blaming is always a no-no. We have been, our mindset has been so fixated on a lot of power, a lot of responsibility taken away from, lecturers, these men who genuinely have all the power, and placed on the victim. Let's put it this way, when we talk about bribery and corruption, police receiving bribes, for example, I know that's a conversation that has gone across many countries. We always talk about the police receiving or demanding for bribe.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the people who offer police bribe, because the police can easily say no. That citizen who, citizen is not innocent, don't get me wrong, who has offered bribe to the police, it has no power over him. Doesn't have the power to compel the police to take. It's just, please, can you take this bribe? But if the police says no, it means that you're in trouble, first of all, for offering an upright policeman a bribe.
Yeah.
But, this is a situation where a lecturer has all the power, this student has zero powers. If a student offers her body as bribe, offers sex as bribe to the lecturer for good grades, he has a duty to turn her down. That is why he's the one that is employed for the reason, for being in charge, for being the sole responsibility of his students while in school, and that includes their safety and well-being. So he has a duty to turn her down. And when he turns her down, she doesn't have any power. Let's be realistic. What power does she have over him? Can she victimize him for turning her down? Can she fail him? Can she be the reason he drops out of school? She honestly cannot. So this is a person who has no power, but yet we insist on putting the blame on her. We make excuses for grown men who have experience in grooming. We have lecturers who have been in school for 25 years, and for those 25 years they've seen 25 sets of 16-year-olds, and they have experience in grooming these young girls, these young impressionable women. So we do ourselves a disservice when we try to put the blame on the victim. We're literally taking away from the conversation when we should be, in fact, putting all that energy into prosecuting these men who think it's okay to target young women. Thank you.
Powerful words there from Ms. Kiki Modi, who says we should not blame the victims.
Yeah.
Victims don't have power. So your final words before we close this interview.
Well, my final words would be, as much as being being a victim can insinuate that you don't have any power. But you know what? There are some spaces where you don't have power and control over, but there are still some spaces where you do have power and control over, and that is with yourself and with your body. I know people try to take away that power from you. You don't deserve that. Together we'll fight to take that power back. And being a victim doesn't mean you can't do many things. You can be a professional as well. I mean, I'm a survivor, but I was also a victim. So you can be a survivor as well. And thank you so much for the love and the support. It has been outpouring. I can't believe how much love is coming, especially from Kenya. Thank you so much. Keep supporting the movement. It is now beyond me. Take the movement to your homes, take it to your schools, and take it to the marketplaces, take it to your places of worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kiki Modi there, all the way from Nigeria. BBC Africa Eye. She recently did a documentary exposing how lecturers use their sexual needs in order to give university students grades. The story is called Sex for Grades, available on YouTube. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you
and
so
thank
much.
Thank you very much for coming to Kenya. Maybe some Swahili word.
Yeah. I love the sawa sawa. I
Sawa.
heard it a lot.
So it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say asante sana kwa kuja.
Okay, and
Asante sana kwa kuja. Thank you very much for coming.
and
Then you say welcome. Welcome.
Karibu.
Ah.
I know that. I heard a lot of Karibu when I came here.
Yeah, thank you very much for
All right,
coming.
thank you so
visit
much.
Kenya. Have you liked anything from Kenya? Did you like food? Maybe.
Yeah.
Which food did you like?
Nah,
Did you enjoy?
I
Have
haven't.
you tasted ugali?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
No,
Oh, okay. And mutura?
no, I haven't.
No. Just go find mutura. Mutura is our pizza. We have
Oh.
a pizza called mutura.
Mutura.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to take it in a very, very good place. Thank you very much for watching. And next week we do this again with a new interview, new guest, but the same host. Ken Kimani is my name.